A single dad CEO went on a blind date for a friend, but fell in love with a poor girl at first sight. Nathan Carter had built his entire life on discipline, hard work, and sacrifice. By the time he turned 36, he was already the CEO of a tech company that was changing the way people lived. To the outside world, he had everything: a thriving business, a luxurious home, and the kind of financial security most people only dream of. But behind the carefully tailored suits and powerful boardroom presence, Nathan's life was far lonelier than he let on. He was a single father, raising his 8-year-old daughter, Lily, after losing his wife in a tragic accident years earlier. For Nathan, Lily was the center of his world. Every late-night bedtime story, every rushed breakfast before school, every little note tucked into her lunchbox was his way of making up for the love she had lost. But even as he gave her everything he could, Nathan himself lived with an emptiness he never spoke about. Friends often told him to start dating again, to let someone into his heart. He always smiled politely and brushed it off, convinced that love, at least for him, was a chapter already closed. One evening, while sitting at dinner with his oldest friend, Daniel, the subject came up once again. Daniel was planning to attend a gala but couldn't make it due to last-minute travel. "Nathan, you should go in my place," Daniel urged. "It's just a charity dinner. I was supposed to meet someone there, a blind date, actually. Why don't you go instead? Who knows, maybe you'll enjoy yourself for once." At first, Nathan laughed it off. The idea of sitting across from a stranger, pretending to be interested, felt absurd. But Daniel persisted, and eventually, Nathan agreed. He told himself it was only dinner, nothing more. What harm could it do? When the evening of the gala arrived, Nathan dressed in his usual sharp suit, his mind still half on work. He arrived at the grand ballroom, expecting the usual glittering scene of wealth and elegance. He had been to countless charity events before, each one blending into the next: beautiful people, expensive wines, empty conversations. But when his eyes fell upon the young woman waiting at a small table near the corner, something in him paused. She didn't look like the others. While most of the guests sparkled in gowns and jewels, she wore a simple dress, elegant but modest, as though she had chosen it carefully but without extravagance. Her hair was pulled back neatly, and her hands rested nervously on the tablecloth. She glanced up when she saw him approaching, and for a moment, Nathan forgot how to breathe. Her eyes carried a quiet strength, a softness that seemed untouched by the superficial glamour of the room. "Hi, I'm Nathan," he said, offering his hand. She smiled, and that single moment felt like sunlight breaking through clouds. "I'm Emily." The conversation began with small talk: where they were from, what brought them there. But soon, Nathan found himself listening more intently than he had in years. Emily wasn't like anyone he had met in his world of business and wealth. She worked as a teacher's assistant at a local elementary school, earning just enough to cover her modest rent and expenses. She spoke about her love for children, her dream of someday running her own little community center where kids from struggling families could find encouragement and hope. Nathan was fascinated. There was no pretension in her voice, no hidden agenda. When she laughed, it was genuine. When she spoke, it came from a place of compassion and sincerity. And as the evening went on, Nathan realized he was smiling more than he had in months. But as charmed as he was, a part of him couldn't ignore the obvious difference between their worlds. He was a CEO, living in a high-rise apartment overlooking the city. She was a young woman living paycheck to paycheck. Could something real truly exist between two people so different? The night ended with a gentle goodbye, but Nathan couldn't shake the thought of her. Over the following days, he found excuses to reach out. He invited her for coffee, then for a walk in the park. Each time, the connection between them deepened. He discovered that Emily had faced hardships of her own. Her father had passed away when she was young, leaving her mother to raise her and her siblings alone. Money had always been scarce, but love had never been. That upbringing had given her a strength and empathy Nathan deeply admired. Meanwhile, Lily adored her from the moment they met. Emily had a natural warmth with children, and Lily, who had been shy and guarded around most adults, opened up quickly. Nathan watched with amazement as his daughter laughed freely with Emily, her little hand slipping trustingly into hers. For the first time in years, his home felt alive with laughter. Still, Nathan wrestled with doubts. The board members of his company were already whispering about his personal life. They expected their CEO to maintain a certain image, and dating a poor girl, as some crudely put it, didn't fit the picture. Friends warned him not to get too serious, suggesting that Emily might be after his money. But in his heart, Nathan knew otherwise. Emily had never asked for anything, never hinted at his wealth, never treated him as anything other than a man, a father, and a friend. One evening, after a long day, Nathan sat on the balcony of his apartment, looking out at the city lights. Emily had joined him for dinner, and now she was sitting quietly beside him, sipping tea. He turned to her, words he had kept buried rising to the surface. "Emily, I don't know where this is going. All I know is that when I'm with you, I feel something I thought I'd lost forever. You make me believe in love again." Her eyes softened, and she reached for his hand. "Nathan, I don't care about the world you come from. I care about the man sitting in front of me, the father who loves his daughter more than anything, the man who listens, who laughs, who sees people for who they are. That's the man I'm falling for." In that moment, Nathan felt something shift within him. The fear of judgment, the weight of expectations, all of it faded. He leaned in, and under the quiet glow of the city, their lips met for the first time. From then on, Nathan stopped hiding their relationship. He brought Emily into his life openly, introducing her not just to his daughter but also to the people who mattered most to him. Some accepted her immediately, others with hesitation, but Nathan no longer cared. For the first time in years, he was truly happy. Months later, on a warm spring afternoon, Nathan surprised Emily by taking her to the site of an old, abandoned building in the city. Confused, she followed him inside, where a group of workers were waiting. "This," Nathan said with a smile, "is going to be your community center. For kids who need a place to learn, to dream, to be safe. I want to help you make your dream a reality." Tears filled Emily's eyes as she realized the depth of his gesture. It wasn't about money, it was about him believing in her vision, about wanting to build a future together. Nathan knelt down then, pulling a small velvet box from his pocket. Lily, grinning from ear to ear, handed it to Emily. "Will you marry my dad?" she asked innocently. Emily's hands trembled as she opened the box, revealing a simple but beautiful ring. She looked at Nathan, her heart overflowing, and whispered, "Yes." And so, the man who had once believed love was lost found it again in the most unexpected way, through a blind date meant for someone else, through a woman who had nothing to offer but her heart, and through the simple truth that love knows no boundaries of wealth or status. Nathan, Emily, and Lily built a life together filled not with luxury or perfection, but with laughter, love, and the kind of happiness that no amount of money could ever buy. Because in the end, love doesn't measure the size of a bank account or the grandeur of a home. Love is found in the moments that make you feel alive, in the people who see you for who you truly are, and in the courage to open your heart when you least expect it. And for Nathan Carter, a single dad who went on a blind date for a friend, it was love at first sight, love that would change his life forever.